Hi folks, and welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes with, the talk show here on Focus Springfield. My name is Mike Dobbs. I'm the managing editor for Reminder Publications, and today it's my pleasure to have two really smart guys here on either side of me to talk about issues. Tim Rooke is the former city councilor. Rick Hurst is the publisher of the African American Point of View. Welcome, guys. Thanks very much for coming.
Mike.
Good to be here, man.
Nice to see you, Rick.
Good to see you.
Okay, so the first thing we do on the show is talk about what is the top of mind awareness. What is the issue that is in your head that you're worrying about, concerned about, you like to talk about? So I'll go to you first, Tim. Is there an issue that is...
Issue I am most interested in at the moment is adult use marijuana.
Okay.
And went down to Boston today to a breakfast, which is the Cannabis Business Association. It's the Chamber of Commerce of medical marijuana, adult use marijuana, and sat there and listened to about 75 people talk about the advantages of marijuana, the business opportunity, job creation, biology, and medical use of marijuana. And I am hot on the topic to learn as much as I can about it. Pretty interesting.
Well, I've been thinking a lot about that as well. I'll give you my thoughts in a moment because I want to hear what is on Rick's mind. What's your top of mind awareness, Rick?
It's never easy to narrow it down to one.
Okay.
But really, it's one I've talked about before. It's the housing issue in Springfield, as it will be impacted by the casino and the new manufacturing organization on Page Boulevard, and by the new train lines that are being developed. My worry is that the housing values are going to go up dramatically. They're already on the way up. And I've witnessed or studied at least gentrification in a lot of places. Gentrification is not all bad like a lot of people think, but if it becomes excessive, then you get a San Francisco-like effect, where all the poor folks, all the minorities, a lot of the minorities wind up pushed out into the suburbs, and the city becomes an elitist city. I worry about that in Springfield.
Okay. That's really something to consider with, and we can bring this back because that has something also to do with the train service, which we're going to be talking about. I've also been thinking a lot about marijuana. Governor Baker was here a week ago Saturday to announce some cultural grants, and as frequently what happens is that the press aide for Baker will give the media 3 questions, and if you're the 4th guy, I happen to be the 4th guy, I don't get a question, because my question to him was going to be about marijuana tourism. He had toured MGM, and he was very effusive in his praise for MGM and what he saw there. But here's the other reason people are going to come to Massachusetts. They're going to come to Massachusetts because they're going to be able to smoke legally. And frankly, I think we should be doing everything we can to responsibly promote it and to create cannabis lounges. Just like in Holland. You can go in, you can buy pot, you can smoke it there. I really believe that we are going to be leaving a lot of money on the table if we don't prepare for what is going to be a very real thing. You know, and I'm concerned that people aren't talking about this and they aren't getting ready for actual marijuana tourism. And I would have loved to have come to that meeting just to hear what people are saying from the business point of view. And granted, we're really hampered because this is a cash business, you know. We don't, you know, the federally backed banks are not going to allow these businesses to do business with them. I'm hoping and praying that the state can come up with some means. Otherwise, you know, banks aren't going to be robbed. It's going to be marijuana shops going to be robbed because it's going to be all cash there in the back. But that sounds like that was a fascinating meeting.
Very, very interesting, the job creation and the salaries that they're paying some of the people to work on the growing facilities or the farms. Some of them call them growing facilities. up in the Berkshires or in our area, Western Mass, they were calling it farming and agriculture. And, you know, $50,000 to work in a growing facility. They're looking for educational programs to teach younger people how to grow the plants, how to maintain the plants, the benefits of the plant, and the numbers that they're using are, if they're even close, a dispensary, I think it's a 5,000 square foot dispensary. The numbers for the first year are X, the second year is Y, and the third year it's off the charts, $7 million in revenue for a 5,000 square foot facility. And it's it's just interesting. That's my thing of the day.
I may be one-minded on this topic, but I have a deep concern. I remember what happened when the lottery came in. We talked about this last night. The lottery came in and the numbers game went out. And the numbers games employed a lot of community folks.
Yeah, it
People didn't know that, but
Yeah.
employed a lot of community folks. Lottery came in, the state got all the money, all the good jobs went to political connected people, and the community lost out. And that's the same thing that's happening with the marijuana situation. You know, marijuana is a street corner business.
It's existing. Yeah,
And-
they
and
talked about that today
That's right.
too.
It's a
Yeah.
street corner business, and a lot of little people make enough money to get along in an underground economy. Now, this law is going to end that economy, and that bothers me substantially.
That point came up today,
All right.
and said that they will transition from an illegal operation to a legal operation.
Yes.
So it allows a lot of this group was more of the mom and pop shop, small businesses. You know, they weren't interested in talking with the big pharmaceutical companies or, you know, the Kmarts and the Walmarts, and it was you could sense the energy of them talking with one another and trying to collaborate and help one another.
And your point is well taken, because one of the things that always amazed me was a lot of these street corner dealers catered to people who came in from out of town. Of course, it was regional. It wasn't
sure, yeah.
The people came in from the Long Meadows and the Hamdens and everything, and they'd go to a street corner and they'd buy marijuana from folks from the inner city. You're talking about expanding it on a broader basis.
Right, because it's not legal in Connecticut. So here's our segue to our question about the Connecticut rail line. I mean, you know, you want to have a good time in Springfield, you can get on the line in Hartford or Berlin or Wallingford or New Haven. You can come up to Springfield and you can indulge in casino gaming. You can have a fine cigar here at our host, Smokey Joe's Cigar Lounge on Dwight Street. You could see a variety of entertainers at the ballet that's behind the wall here with us. And on top of that, you can get high. I mean, you can hit all the vices here
everything.
in Springfield, you know. We're going to be the new Sin City on the Connecticut River here. But in all seriousness, we've got this train service now. And next summer, that commuter rail is going to be extended to Greenfield. So you could get on a train in Greenfield, you can go to Northampton, Holyoke, Springfield, and you can continue all the way down to New Haven, where you can change and get another train and bring you into New York City. Apparently at a lower cost, by the way, than what it would cost for Amtrak. So it gives us another opportunity here, not only for tourism, but also for business. So if you have a decent job in Northampton, but you're living in Greenfield, there's another way besides having a car to get to that decent job, for instance. But what I'm concerned about is what is going to need to be done to maximize the potential of this new transportation service. It just can't exist. It has to be marketed. It has to be utilized by employers. It has to be that, you know, MGM can say, you can come to us by rail, you can come to us by car, you know. businesses, same thing with the Basketball Hall of Fame, or same thing with the Quadrangle in terms of tourism. So I was wondering if you guys have got some ideas about what you would like to see in terms of how this new rail line is positively exploited for our economic development here in the region. You want to take that first, Tim?
I think any service, any infrastructure to work with Hartford, Springfield, Northampton, between the Knowledge Corridor, the Restaurant Corridor, getting the Millenniums to come into Springfield to take advantage of the new entertainment district we might have with the MGM Casino and some of the restaurants, helps the city. How it's going to be marketed, as you said, Mike, is probably going to determine the success of that program or not. I know that Governor Baker recently gave some rail cars or extended some opportunities for the city of Springfield to use to their advantage. I don't know enough about the program itself as to how they're going to structure or build it to make sure that there's going to be some maximum opportunity for the city. And I don't know what the housing costs are in Hartford, where it might make some sense for somebody to say, geez, you know what, I'll live in Springfield rather than in Hartford because the rents may be higher or lower. So going back to Rick's concern earlier.
Right.
But I think it's a good opportunity.
What do you think, Rick?
I think it's a good opportunity, but I think you have to market it at the ground level. What has been done so far has been up here. You've got to figure out a marketing strategy that gets it down to the people in the street, and I haven't seen that yet. And I look forward. In fact, they ought to be advertising in my newspaper now that you think about it.
Oh, my newspaper too, Rick.
Exactly, and that's part of course. I wouldn't leave you out. But you got to market stuff like that at the ground level. Peter Pan is lucky. People are used to buses, and they have a going business. But the railroad, we've had so much trouble with Amtrak. I mean, every time I've taken Amtrak, which is not many times, it has broken down. I broke down in Hartford late at night. Nobody ever did anything. I had to call my sons to come and pick me up. Late at night, after 12:30, 1 o'clock. And they drove me back. Well, Amtrak they do all right, but they don't have that good of a name. And I think that we have to change the perception of rail travel by marketing at the ground level. Now, there are experts who know how to do that better than I do, but I think we ought to access those experts.
Well, I was one of the, 20,000 people. I know there was more than 10,000 people on the Saturday that did the free ride. I went on Sunday. So I got down here, Union Station, took a 9:55 train. The train left on time. The train got into Hartford on time. It was one of the Connecticut rail trains.
Yep.
And the only problem is that they bought cars from the MBTA that were not handicapped accessible, did not comply with ADA. And so the governing body, the acronym I forget,
CP
said, guess what? You cannot have any restrooms if you don't have restrooms for disabled. So they've locked the restrooms that actually do work, which I think is a huge marketing problem.
Yes.
If you offer, I understand.
That could be a problem.
I understand where they're coming from, and naturally I want to see these rail cars accessible to anyone based upon their abilities. At the same time, though, it does not send a positive message that you're going to tell people, guess what? You can't use the restroom.
That is a dumb, bureaucratic solution. That's all I can tell you.
So
Yeah.
I got down into Hartford, came back. Now this is what impressed me. Standing on the platform in Hartford, a lot of those people were from Connecticut, and they didn't know anything about Springfield because they kept talking about what's going on in Springfield. Now it's Sunday. Downtown Hartford was quite quiet, just as downtown Springfield is quiet on a Sunday. But on the other hand, I thought, now what we should have had was someone greeting everybody who came off that train
Yeah, that's a good
with
idea.
one piece of paper that said, if you're hungry, Felix's right over here
That's
is open.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if Chef Wayne was open for brunch or not, but I know Felix's was open. And who else was open? And how many steps is it to go see the Quadrangle and the Dr. Seuss Museum and the History Museum? How many steps is it if you wanted to take a walk around downtown? In other words, have something that you could give to someone who hasn't been to Springfield that would direct them, even with a little map saying, here you could walk this square to get
Yeah.
a sense of downtown.
That's grassroots marketing.
And that's what
Yeah.
we need to, it's not just for the opening weekend. We need to have a mechanism so we can say to people, all right, do you want to take the train up because we've got the Springfield Jazz Festival coming up? Okay, here's when the Jazz Festival is. Here's when the trains are. You could
Yeah.
catch these trains from
Oh, sure.
Hartford and
Yeah.
come up. And by the way, you can then depart on this train. I really think the challenge is going to be anything that's going on in our city, how can we tie it into rail? I mean, the folks at the Big E are very smart about marketing. I would think that they would want to tie this in because, frankly,
Oh, yeah.
with traffic concerns, the Big E is going to be what, opening 2-3 weeks after MGM? What if
Yes.
traffic is still,
Yes.
you know, at apocalyptic levels? And you want to go to the Big E, getting on that train and then coming to Springfield, and if there was a shuttle bus service, then that solves the problem for the people who want to do that. But I'm waiting to see who steps up as providing some leadership for this. I'm happy to do so if you want to pay me, whoever is going to pay me, because I'm tired of doing stuff for free, folks, okay? I need to be paid. I'm of that age. These guys don't work for cheap either, you know? We
No,
want to
no.
be paid for our
I
ideas.
advocate for paying you.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really think that we have a great thing here, but we need to work it. And that's what is concerning me, that it can't be organic. It's got to be, you got to give people reasons to use it and get people to the point where they're saying, you know, this is a real alternative for me. I don't know
No,
about
you're-
either
you're
of
right,
you.
Mike. There's a lot of people in Springfield who don't even know what events are going on in downtown Springfield.
That's
So
true.
you'd be surprised, and they, may pick up either one of your publications or watching the news and say, "Oh, I didn't know that was going on," And I hear that so many times from people saying, "Geez, what'd you do this week?" And, "Oh, I went here, and I went to A, B, or C," and they'll say, "I didn't know that was going on." And
They must not read his or my papers
Well,
because
that's what I'm
we're
saying.
keeping people in
That's
touch.
They don't, and that's what it is. So you go through and you say, I may circle and say, oh, geez, this sounds interesting. Maybe I'll go check that out. Or this one sounds. So I'll have 5 or 6 events that I know are coming up, and then I decide which ones I want to
Sure.
try out. But a lot of people don't do that, or they don't know what restaurants are open on the weekends downtown. You'd be surprised. The 3 of us may talk and say, geez, I went here, I went there. Felix's. A lot of people don't even know where Felix's is.
And yet Felix's is one of the few downtown restaurants open on a Sunday for breakfast.
Yeah.
And by the way, folks, they do a great Sunday breakfast. The
All
food
day
is,
breakfast.
Yeah, we love all day breakfast.
Yeah.
So I was at a city council meeting. It was the Casino Oversight Committee on Friday, and the question was asked of Seth Stratton, who's their Vice President of Legal Affairs, and our own beloved city solicitor, Eddie Bakula. What is going to happen? What are the logistics for opening day, opening first few weeks of MGM? And they said it was premature to discuss this, which sort of raised my eyebrows. They said that they are expecting, quote unquote, many times over 25,000 people. And they even said that they are anticipating, because the casino complex can hold 14,000 people, that they are going to ask people to use the Mass Mutual Center as a waiting room. So if you can't get in, they'd ask you to sit there. All I could think of is, it's like, going to Panera Bread, and you're ordering your sandwich and they give you the buzzer, right? And you're sort of going to sit there in the stands waiting for the buzzer to buzz, and now you can go into the MGM. Do you think we're ready for this kind of visitation? They also said that they are planning to have 3 shuttle bus points. So if you work downtown, You either go to Eastfield Mall, Springfield Plaza, or the Big E, and take a shuttle bus into downtown because the traffic and the parking will be completely crazy. So you think we're ready for this?
I think they're ready for it. I think when I say they are ready for it, I think the city will be prepared for it. I think MGM will be prepared for it. And the reason I say that is that MGM is an international entertainment company. They probably have dealt with larger crowds. I have no idea how many people they anticipate on the opening day, but I would guess it's going to be 10, 15, 20,000 people that'll want to be, everyone wants to be the first one through the door. So this is going to happen in the middle of the summer. It might be one of those sales they have around Christmas time where people are, camping out or waiting to get in. I don't know. So having the Mass Mutual Center as an alternative or as an option if somebody's hot, it's air conditioned, maybe they go there. And I don't know what the city has planned. I don't think MGM has released anything, but I would guess.
No, they didn't want to talk about it at this meeting.
Yeah.
They said it was premature.
Probably in the works. I'm going to guess they're going to have some form of entertainment available so people can wait to get in. I mean, they're an A-listing company, so I think they're going to be prepared for it, and I know that the city will be working with them hand in hand. I can't wait for the opening day. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Okay. Rick, what do you think?
Oh, well, I think we ought to treat it like a holiday.
You mean people should just have the day off from downtown? It's a Friday, so it could be a long weekend.
Yeah, Friday. Yeah, I think you should make it a long weekend, make it a city holiday, and because it's never going to be that congested again. MGM has done the studies and had the experience, and their experience is that everybody doesn't come to the casino at the same time. People
True.
come
Good
at
point.
different
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
So when you talk figures like 25, 30,000 people are not going to walk in the door or drive into the city or ride into the city at the same time. There are going to be some at one point in time, some at
That's
another
true.
point,
Yeah.
some at another point. So, even on opening day, you're not going to have a catastrophic thing.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because they're open 24 hours, so it's going to be spread out over the 24 hours.
Everybody
Yeah.
has their preference as to when they want to come and gamble. MGM has studied it because they've talked the issue before, even before the casino
Yeah.
construction began. On the other hand, I'm not so certain that it's going to be easy going. I think that it's congested downtown right now.
Well, with the construction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With construction, it's been congested even before that, Main Street and what have you. I think that for the opening day, we ought to treat it, and it's up to the mayor and the council, we ought to treat it like a holiday.
Yeah.
At least the
It's a good
second
point.
half of the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and I do think that having entertainment at the Mass Mutual Center is critical.
Yeah. Whatever. I have no idea what they have planned, but I'm guessing. I can remember when they did their proposal when it was between the 2 or 3 casinos that were looking to get the nod, and they had different proposals. And MGM's proposal was at the Mass Mutual Center as to a flavor of what we could expect. And I remember walking out saying, "Wow, this is really what an impact they had on their presentation." One of the others, I remember saying, "Well, yeah, that was pretty good," but MGM was one of the last ones that came in. I remember they had the jugglers and they had the Cirque du Soleil performers.
They had gift baskets.
The sound system was incredible. It was like you were at
I remember that.
I remember walking out saying, "Wow, that was really an A-lister performance."
They had gift baskets, but
Yeah,
not
they
for
did.
the press.
Yeah.
No gift baskets, no love for the press.
Or the elected, or the former has been elected officials.
Okay, we got a couple minutes left. I got to ask you guys what you think about the Supreme Judicial Court struck down a ballot question that would have put it up to the voters about creating a millionaire's tax. And if it had been on the ballot and if the voters had voted for it, it would have added an additional 4% sales tax, state tax rather, on annual income earners of more than $1 million. So it would they would be paying 9.1% for all income over $1 million. And the additional money would go to education and transportation. Okay, we've all heard Massachusetts be called Taxachusetts. This still may get on the ballot somehow. That's what I read, that they're working to try to overcome this. What do you guys think in terms of how this is going to work? Should we actually have a millionaire's tax? Rick?
Well, on that one, I was thinking like a lawyer. I thought the Supreme Judicial Court would turn it down because it seems to me like the ballot question begs the question as to the separation of powers. This is something that was up to the legislature to do and not for a ballot question.
Okay.
And not only that, I feel more comfortable with the legislature dealing with questions of finance and what have you. I don't like voting on taxes because, you know, it could go the other way too.
Sure, sure.
On the other hand, I don't have any problem taxing millionaires. A little bit of money on the money over $1 million in income. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I don't think it would drive people out of the state. I just think that the notion of it is what drives emotions. But if the legislature decides that it's going to pass similar legislation, I think it would be good. I think the purpose of the money is great.
Okay.
And I have no problems with it at all. I do have sticky feelings about it being a ballot question.
Okay. Tim, what do you think?
I'm glad you asked the only millionaire on the panel. I agree with Rick. I don't think if they're going to impose something like that, it should be up to the legislatures to decide. I don't think it belongs on the ballot, and I would agree with Rick. I think if it's on the ballot, nobody likes millionaires. You know, so everyone's going to vote, yeah, tax those SOBs. But then again, everyone, not everyone, but I would think a lot of people benefit from the wealthy who make the investments and take the risks, which a lot of us don't. We might have the idea and say, geez, this would be a great idea. Well, there might be somebody in the room who actually has the wealth to put our idea into a plan and create a lot of jobs and a lot of different things. So there's a balance to it, and I haven't really been following the issue that much, but I always remember, I think 1% of the excessive wealthy people pay 40% of the tax revenue. And it's similar to like in Springfield when they start talking about the tax rate. Business pays X and residents pay Y. And I keep using X and Y, and everyone's going to be saying, why don't you use some more specific examples? But I think the benefit of having that tax and the programs that it would fund would make sense.
Okay.
But then again, do you want to tax everything or do you want to create efficiencies? It's the same. That's for our next show.
Okay. And that's a good way to wrap this up. I want to thank my two guests, Rick Hurst and Tim Rooke. I want to thank you folks for watching and thank our host, Joe Hendricks, here at Smokey Joe's Cigar Lounge on Dwight Street. Come on down and smoke a cigar. Until then, keep watching Focus Springfield.